The opposition plans to boycott the Pran Pratishtha, or the consecration of the idol of Sri Ram in Ayodhya on the 22nd of January. Why is this happening? Now, joining me to discuss this are Geeta Bhatt and Shikha Mukerjee and my colleague Brajesh Pandey. I want to start by asking Geeta, the Congress started by saying that it had opened the locks of the temple in the 1980s, and now they've kind of gone silent and they're not attending the event. Why the U-turn?
I think, personally, I think that this is what was expected from Congress.
Right.
But one thing is for sure that Congress has once again exposed itself, that how it has been rather, its anti-Sanatan stand once again has been established when they have refused to attend one of the most important ceremonies of the century.
Right.
Something which has been at the center of a social and you can say a political challenge for various governments, and also something which is so close to the cultural heritage of this country.
Right.
The Pran Pratishtha of Bhagwan Ram, something which is happening after a struggle of almost 500 years.
Right.
And they don't want to be a part of this ceremony.
Right.
Ironically, in 2016, when the canonization of Mother Teresa took place,
Yes.
the Congress party and Ms. Sonia Gandhi personally wrote a letter to the Pope, where she praised that how it was so so well thought by the church to have canonized Mother Teresa. And at the same time, two representatives, and if I remember, one of them was Margaret Alva. In the letter, she had said that she's not well, that is why she's not in a position to attend, otherwise she would have definitely been there.
Right.
So it is very, very clear that the Congress party and in the leadership of Sonia Gandhi, when she was president, when they were in the UPA and in the government, how they must have derailed the whole process of providing documents or any such means when this case was still sub judice, and there was the court case was still going on related to the Ram Mandir in the Supreme Court and earlier in the Allahabad High Court.
Right. Shikha, when we heard about the Pran Pratishtha last year, a lot of us seem to think that it would be a purely religious ceremony, but I think the aim of the Prime Minister seems to be to convert it into a national event. And there's a lot of politics also attached, as Geeta was just mentioning, the fact that there seems to be a political divide now. Why is this the case? Is it because the temple was, top, front and center for the BJP for the last 10 years at least?
I think we are making a mistake. The Ram temple issue starts in 1991. When the Ram Rath comes out, and then there's the Shilanyas and everything that happens.
But it had gone into cold storage for about 3 terms, 96
No. There was never any. There was
99.
It was always of the 5 or 4 things that the BJP promised and has been consistently promising forever and a day.
Yes.
The top of the agenda is the installation of the Ram idol and the construction of a Ram Mandir in Ayodhya.
Right.
Let's not make any mistakes on that. That's a decades-long project,
Yeah.
and the BJP is now getting where it promised to be.
Right.
Therefore, it comes with a Modi ki guarantee,
Ah.
and I think that is precisely the point.
Right.
That this is an event which is Modi ki guarantee, and that the government in 10 years, Modi government in 10 years has successfully managed to do it.
Right.
Therefore, yes, it is a political event. The
Right.
divide, as you see it, is, I think, a necessary divide.
Ah.
If we look at it as the politics of the temple, and that is what it has been from the 1980s actually, there was a divide, and that divide got kind of fudged, unfortunately, by the soft Hindutva temple touring Congress leadership and these big yatras that all the others took out, etc. Therefore, let's be very clear. Here is, if you look at the 27, 28 parties of the India Alliance, which is the opposition led by which includes the Congress as the biggest party, the CPI-CPM was very clear at the very outset, nothing doing, we are not going. The other parties made equivocal statements. Yes, we are considering it. No, it's a matter of personal faith. It's something else. I really don't understand all this faith matter. But having said that, politically, what else should they do? Here is the BJP's agenda being fulfilled.
Right.
Why should they go and celebrate it? If they do go and celebrate it, then who are they? Their identity as the opposition becomes null and void.
That's a question I'm going to ask Brajesh here. Brajesh, what's the Congress's calculations? Why did they stay out of it? Is it to say that, hey, listen, this is your agenda, you've fulfilled it, we have nothing to do with this?
See, Sandeep, I think, in politics, the most important thing is whether you are able to sell your narrative or not.
Right.
When you yourself mentioned that, that the BJP, the Congress is trying to experiment between soft Hindutva, hard Hindutva, you go on a temple hopping spree.
Yes.
And then, in one next election, you completely abandon it only to find faith again in the next election.
Right.
My point is that, you have to understand that there are two things which are happening. A, the temple belongs to Lord Ram.
Yes.
And the narrative belongs to the Bharatiya Janata Party,
right,
which is very strictly controlled by Vishwa Hindu Parishad.
Yes.
So anything which is going out comes out of Sri Champat Rai, who is the VHP head, and also controlled by and the kind of help it is receiving from the government. Now the point is that whether the Congress will make the required differentiation by not going to that, I don't think so. Because the thing is that your own party in Uttar Pradesh, which is the largest state, your own party chief is saying that we will go to Saryu on 15th, we will take dip in Holy Saryu, and after that we will go and do a darshan of Ram Lala.
Right, right.
Your own government says that the Siddaramaiah and DK Shivkumar says that I have ordered the minister who under whom all the temple is there, and we'll light a diya in 30,000 plus temples and all.
Right.
So after making all kind of required statement, out of bold came the statement that we respectfully decline.
Right.
I don't think that if Congress would have gone there, they would have merged with what the BJP is trying to sell.
Right.
Because you live to fight another day, and by not going, they have given BJP ample handle, which they have already bandied the Congress as something called anti-Hindu.
Anti-Hindu.
So it makes the task of the Congress all the more difficult.
Yes,
for that. You have Shankaracharyas who have come out and said that this Pran Pratishtha is not right. They are talking against the government and all. But they are pontiffs. They can take a position. You are a political party.
Right.
At the end of the day, you have to convince people to vote for you,
and you have
for
to
you
go
to win an election.
Absolutely. But Geeta, don't you like to thank the Congress government for what they have done by opening the locks of the disputed structure way back in the 80s? Because if Rajiv Gandhi hadn't done that, I don't think the temple movement would have really taken off, and we wouldn't have been looking at the inaugural of the temple this year.
Well, if we go back to the 1980s, that was the time when, if you remember, it was during 86 or 87 that the the court judgment had come.
Right.
And we know that how it was handled by the Rajiv Gandhi government.
Yes.
The Supreme Court had given the judgment in favor. So it was basically to counter that. There was a lot of criticism of the Rajiv Gandhi government, because when they had brought the law to counter the judgment in favor of Shah Banu,
right.
And that had, to counter that, it is that they thought that to divert the whole attention, it would be better that, they can, if they open the locks of the Ayodhya temple. And that is how this is the background. And, nevertheless, even if we want to give the credit, in spite of this background, to Mr. Rajiv Gandhi at that time, then what happened later on? We very well know how Congress has been taking a stand, and the Congress-led governments have been taking a stand during the Ayodhya temple issue when it was in the court.
Right.
We have seen that how Mr. Kapil Sibal at that time in the Congress party, who was a union minister, how they have gone all out in the court. Even the 2019 election, when was just before that, when the court case hearing was going on, the plea was made that the judgment should be postponed. because
Right.
it is going to influence the 2019 Lok Sabha election. So it is basically the Congress party which has been politically trying to use a movement which actually is a socio-cultural movement. This as an ideological issue, BJP stood along with it through thick and thin, whether they were in the government or out of it. But if you look at the Congress party, we have seen how there was this, the Chunavi Hindu was the tag which was being given to Mr. Rahul Gandhi when he went to temple hopping just before the elections. And, so this kind of, I think they do not know where they stand, because ideologically, they have never stood for the
Right.
Ram temple issue.
Absolutely. And Shikha, what do you think is going to be the impact of the Pran Pratishtha ceremony? It's on the 22nd of January. Electorally, how will it help the BJP? Will it consolidate their traditional Hindutva vote base? Or is it much more than that?
Yeah, okay. Two things. One is that, the advantage of having lived through those times, as I was already a journalist of over 2 decades by then, is that I remember that part of the politics of the temple was part of the anti-Mandal. It was Mandal
Yes.
versus Kamandal,
To
which
balance
was being fought out.
the Mandal.
I mean,
Yeah.
let us not sort of turn it into a kind
Yes.
of Shabano versus Mandir.
Right.
It was very definitely Mandal versus Kamandal
Yes.
that was happening out there.
Right.
Let's not forget that there are many contributing factors
Right.
in the way in which politics emerges.
Many
Number
contradictory
two
factors.
is,
Yes.
let me answer your question. What do I think is the impact? Electorally, if we are talking about the traditional BJP voter, that is the core base, core support. Now, if the BJP is worried that the core support is in some way unhappy about its performance as a government, because please remember that the election is fought as a government.
Yes.
The performance of this government 10 years down the line is what is going to be decided. Therefore, if the core base of the BJP is unhappy, then there is a problem. And this problem, I'm so sorry, and this problem is then countered by the temple itself.
Right.
Inauguration of this fast forwarding the inauguration itself, about which people have made various comments. The impact of it actually depends on the opposition.
Right.
Will the opposition use the temple as a way of putting across
Yes.
what is their
Right.
politics, what they stand for,
Right.
what do they mean as themselves as an alternative, and what their decision to reject the invitation.
Absolutely.
adds
Thank you.
to.
Yes.
It's
Shikha, I'm
up to
sorry
the
I have to
government.
interrupt you. I'm totally out of
No,
time.
thank-
But thank you very much for your thoughts, Geeta and Shikha. Brijesh continues to stay with me for the next segment. The BJP's temple, we're all looking at the 22nd January very closely to see how Indian politics is going to take a turn for the future. Thanks for watching.
News 9 Plus. Download now.